Hi, kids, moms, and dads. It's great to have you back for story time. Today, we're going to look at a story. It's called A New Beginning, and it's the story about Noah and the ark. Have you heard of it or remember it? The whole story is found in Genesis chapters 6 through 9. So if you get a chance, have your mom and dad read it to you. But it's called A New Beginning. Have you ever had a new beginning? It's like every year you get a new class. It's a new beginning. In the summer, the snow all melted away. It's a new beginning. And so every year we have a lot of new beginnings. But once again, it's called a new beginning. Look at the ark. You see the plan that Noah had? A new beginning. Let's read and see what it said. Time passed and many people filled the earth. Everyone everywhere had forgotten about God and were only doing bad things all the time. God's heart was filled with pain when he saw what had happened to the world that he loved. Everywhere was disease and death and destruction. All things God hates most. Kind of sounds like the day and the age that we live in, doesn't it? Now, Noah was God's friend, which was odd in those days because no one else was Noah's friend. Noah listened to God and he talked to God. He just loved being with God, like you do when you're with your best friend. Noah, God said, things have gone wrong. People have filled my world with hate instead of love. They are destroying themselves and each other and my world. I must stop them. First, we'll build an ark. Do you know how to build an ark? Neither did Noah. Luckily, God knew, and he would show him. Take a look again. That was the plan for the ark. Noah didn't know how to build it, but God would show him. God said, "A storm is coming, but I will rescue you. I promise I'll send the animals to you, ones that creep and crawl and slither and slime and gallop and hop and bound and climb. Oh, and don't forget to pack everyone's food." Can you imagine all the animals that were on the ark? The storm was going to wash away all the hate and the sadness and everything that had gone wrong and make the world clean again. God had thought up a way to keep Noah safe, but Noah would have to trust God and do exactly what God told him to do. So Noah built an ark, short for a very large boat. Noah's neighbors came out to watch, and they pointed and they laughed because they didn't believe Noah and about the boat or the storm or needing even to be rescued. And Noah must have looked rather silly. His boat was in the desert. The desert was nowhere near the sea, and there wasn't even a cloud in the sky. Why would anyone need an umbrella, let alone a boat? Take a look here. See how he's framing it? And then over here, the people, they were all looking at Noah and laughing because it hadn't even rained up to this point. But Noah didn't mind so much the other people, what they thought. He minded what God thought. So he just did what God told him to do. When the ark was ready, God said, "All aboard?" And Noah's family and all the animals climbed inside. And then the Bible tells us that God shut the door. Take a look at the animals. You see them? A giraffe. Lots of different kinds of animals. What's your favorite animal? It was on the ark. And then one day, after Noah had finished the ark and everyone was inside and God closed the door, it started raining for minutes, then hours, and then it went into days, and it went into weeks, and it rained, and the rain turned into puddles, and it turned into rivers, and it turned into lakes, and it turned into a flood that covered the whole world. Can you imagine that? The whole world was covered with water. Their boat had once seemed so big, suddenly seemed very small. But in the middle of a huge storm, in the crashing waves, in all the thunder and the lightning, through it all, God was with them, and God kept them safe for 40 long days and 40 long nights. But finally, the rain had stopped. The sun came out. Noah threw open the window. Hooray! Everyone shouted. Noah sent his dove out to explore, and it wasn't long before she brought him back a fresh olive leaf. Everyone knew exactly what that meant. She had found a tree and land, and the water was starting to go down. See a picture? The boats on the big waves, and Noah and his sons and all their wives were on the boat. At last the boat landed quite suddenly on top of a great mountain. As soon as it was safe, God said, "Out you come." And so they did, everyone skipping and dancing onto dry land. The first thing Noah did was to thank God for rescuing him just as he had promised. The first thing God did was to make another promise. I won't ever destroy the world again. And like a warrior who puts away his bow and arrow at the end of a great battle, God said, "See, I have hung up my rainbow in the clouds." Have you seen a rainbow? They're still around today, and it reminds us of God's promise that he won't flood the earth again. And there in the clouds, just where the storm met the sun, was beautiful rainbow made of light. It was a new beginning in God's world. But it wasn't long before everything went wrong again. But God wasn't surprised. He knew this would happen. And that's why before the beginning of time, he had another plan, even a better plan, a plan that, not to destroy the world, but to rescue it. A plan that one day he would send his own son, Jesus, the rescuer. God's strong anger against hate and sadness and death would come down once more, but not on his people or on his world. No, God's war rainbow was not pointing down at his people. It was pointing up into the heart of heaven. And so here we see the rainbow that God made. You see how it looks when the sun shines through it? And it's God's promise that he'll never destroy the world again with rain and water. But his promises are always true. When he says he'll keep us safe, that's exactly what he does, just like with Noah in the ark. Thanks for tuning in today, for watching today's story time. I pray that your parents will read you that story and it will give you a lot more details. I love you. Thanks. Goodbye.